We think that honor equals respect. Honor does not equal respect. Honor and respect are two different words. If they were the same word, we wouldn't use both of them. But people think that it's honor and respect. See, what was happening in my marriage was I was not getting respect from my wife because I was not honoring her. That's what I was called to do. I had been praying till I felt like I was blue in the face, praying for my marriage, praying for my wife, praying for me, praying, and nothing was working, and I couldn't figure it out. And you know what Dr. Mark did for me? He said, hey, let's look at the Bible real quick. 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 7 says it this way. Husbands, likewise, dwell with them, live with them in an understanding way, giving honor to the wife as the weaker vessel, and as being heirs together of the grace of life, that your prayers may not be hindered. All of a sudden, I realized all those prayers I was doing, the reason that they weren't working is because I was hindering them by not honoring her. And I wasn't honoring her because I had no clue what honor was. I didn't know what honor was. I had no clue. I had no understanding of honor. It took me a little bit because all of a sudden I had to go back and look at it. Because if I'm in today's current day, all of a sudden I pull up on Google and I'm like, define honor. And you know what it's going to say? Respect. It's like, but no, that can't be what God meant, because he would have said respect if he meant respect. He tells wives in Ephesians 5:33 that they're to respect their husbands, but he doesn't say that husbands are to respect the wives. Instead, he says husbands are to honor the wives. So what am I supposed to be doing? Why is there this difference? What is it that I, as a husband, should do with my wife so that my prayers wouldn't be hindered? Honor. Great. What does honor mean? Well, that's where all of a sudden I start to work in the Word, labor in the Word and in doctrine, and I started to study. I started to look at it. Part of it was Dr. Mark just telling me what it meant. But just because he told me what it meant, just because he says, oh, hey, honor actually means to value. I'm like, yeah, whatever. I didn't actually say that, but that's what I was thinking. It was like, you just stepped on my toes and told me that I was the one hindering my own prayers. Who says I'm going to listen to you? I'm only going to listen to the Bible. So I'm going to look at it. So I went back to the Bible. And all of a sudden, I start studying the Greek. I find out that the word honor that is used in 1 Timothy or 1 Peter and all of these New Testament passages is the Greek word time. And when I look at that, I was like, what does that word even mean? Well, it means to value. And to fix a valuation for the price that was paid. Well, that's a New Testament thing, right? So I started to look at the Old Testament. What is the Old Testament? We're talking about the 10 Commandments after all. The Old Testament, the 10 Commandments, Exodus, that wasn't written in Greek, that was written in Hebrew. So that Greek word time was not even in there. I'm not even going to try to pronounce the Greek word because it's got a K in it, and usually the K's, it sounds like somebody's hawking up phlegm. I'm not going to try it. But that Hebrew word, it means weighty, to be made heavy, especially with gifts and abundance. And I was like, that sounds an awful lot like a value, or to fix a valuation on it. So all of a sudden, when Dr. Mark's telling me that to honor something is to value it, it started to make sense. But how do you fix a valuation on it? Right? How do you fix a valuation on something? Let's think about it just from this perspective. What about artwork? I've seen some of these masterpieces out there that go for like millions of dollars. And I'm like, I think all you did was take some of that paint, squirt it up your nose, and sneeze it out on the canvas. Like, that's what it looks like. And somehow that is worth millions of dollars? You know why it's worth millions of dollars? Because somebody was willing to pay millions of dollars for it. And now they have fixed the valuation on that. So all of a sudden, I'm sitting here and I'm processing this and I'm thinking about this. I'm to honor my wife. I'm to value my wife. What is her worth? What is the valuation of her? What was the price that was paid for her? The life of Jesus Christ. The same price that was paid for our president. The same price that was paid for your pastor. The same price that was paid for our parents and our employers and our coworkers and every single person in the world, because God so loved them that He paid the price of His only Son, that they wouldn't die. See, the thing is, and the thing that I want you to understand, is to honor people based on their worth, not on their works. We honor people based on their worth, not on their works. You've all got parents. If I asked, show of hands, who had a perfect parent? None of you would lift your hands, because if you did, I would call you a liar. Because there are no perfect individuals, and the only perfect one that ever existed was hung on the cross. We killed that one. Our parents aren't perfect. Our parents are flawed. They make mistakes. You may have had good parents. You may have had better than average parents. You may have great parents. But it doesn't matter what they've done, how many good things they've done, or how many bad things they've done. You don't honor them based on their works. You honor them based on their worth. And here's something to get your mind wrapped around. When it comes to your parents, think about this. God, in His infinite wisdom, with all of His creativity, with all of His knowledge, He chose those two individuals out of a world of 8 billion people to bring them together and then take bits and pieces of them to create you. God had that in mind. That is His design. Man, yes, I will honor father and mother because God created them to be my parents. Because in honoring my parents, I am honoring God. That's how we're to do it with everybody. See who God has called them to be. See the worth that they have based on who God says that they are. We honor people based on their worth, not on their works. Oh yeah, but Pastor, you don't know my parents. You don't know what they did. Here's what I know, and pardon my language, but people suck. I get it. That just happens. Why? Because people are imperfect. And that means they're going to mess up and they're going to make mistakes. And some people, they've got horrible parents out there. You know what? Some countries have horrible leaders out there. Don't know if you knew that either. You know what? Some churches have horrible pastors out there. I know you didn't know anything about that. But it doesn't matter what they have done or what they don't do. What matters is who God called them to be, who God appointed them to be. You honor those people because of their worth. And their worth is not based on your opinion of what they've done in their actions. Their worth is based on the price that God paid for them. And He paid the highest price for them. So we honor them. And you can honor people that have wronged you. I'll make this super practical. You ready? 1, 2, 3. First, forgive them if they've wronged you. Forgive them. Because if you don't forgive them, you know what's happening? You're giving them and their actions control over you. Control over your emotions. Control over your own obedience to God. Well, you don't know what they've done. I'm not going to honor my parents. Okay, so because they were dum-dums, now all of a sudden you're going to be a dum-dum and you're going to disobey God. Makes complete sense. No, forgive them. I'm not holding on to this anymore. I'm not going to be shackled to the bondage of unforgiveness. I'm going to forgive them. Now, I'm going to be smart and I'm not going to forget what they've done. I'm not going to step my foot right in front of them when they continually stomp on my little toe. No, I'm going to pull it back. I'm going to watch. But I'm going to forgive them. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pray for them. I'm going to pray that God would start to tug on their heartstrings, that God would start to lead them. And while God is leading them, He's also leading me to speak well of them, to see their worth, to see their value, and to honor them through my words. But then, He's also going to show me how to honor them through my actions. Because while I'm also going to forgive them and I'm going to pray for them, I'm also going to be an example for them. And I'm going to show them what love really looks like. I'm going to show them what it means to live your life for Christ, what it means to truly walk in the calling that God has placed on you. So I don't care if it's your parents, I don't care if it's your boss, I don't care if it's your spouse, I don't care if it's your kids, I don't care if it's your neighbors, I don't care if it's the President of the United States. You don't have to agree with them, you don't have to agree with what they've done, you do have to honor them. If you don't honor them, man, what does it say? Exodus 20:12. It says, when you do honor them, your days will be long. You just want to take a stab at what's going to happen if you don't honor? Got a feeling the days will be short. So we honor, even when it's hard, because we don't honor based on their works. We honor based on their worth. And whether we want to or not, we don't get to set the value. We don't get to define their worth. Not when Jesus already has. Honor people.